Congratulations on getting a new iPhone. It might be your first iPhone, maybe you're coming from Android, but in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire setup process and give you the basics of using iPhone. Everything from creating a new Apple ID to managing your home screens and getting them just how you'd like, taking pictures, creating notes, and using Safari to browse the internet. Now, maybe this is an upgrade and you're an experienced iPhone user. Well, I'm going to have chapters down here at the bottom. They're also in the description, and you can jump to a different section. I would recommend the gestures chapter because you might learn something new there. But I'm also going to talk about things like AirDrop and AirPlay, everything you need to know to make the most of your iPhone. And when you're ready to dive even deeper into using an iPhone in the Apple ecosystem, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. I have tons of videos describing all of that. I'm going to link some of the most pertinent down in the video description. But let's unbox our new iPhone and get it set up. This is the new iPhone 15 Plus, the larger size, but this process will be the same if you got a 15 Pro or Pro Max or regular 15. Of course, Apple makes it easy to open these boxes with these little green tabs, and then we just slide it open to see our new iPhone. This is the green color, in case you were wondering. Lift the little tab, and we have our brand new iPhone in hand. Now in the box, you might notice there's no charging brick. You do get an Apple sticker, which is fun, and you also have a USB-C cable. It's a nice braided cable, but like I said, no charging brick. Now, if you have a recent iPad charger or other USB-C charging brick, maybe with your Android phone, you can use the same cable with that charging brick, but I'll also put some links down in the video description of some charging bricks that I really like and recommend. Something like this from Nomad is really nice. It's a slim charger, actually has two USB-C ports if you want to charge an iPad and an iPhone, and the little prongs retract, which is fun. We'll put the box aside and let's just set up the iPhone. This is a satisfying moment peeling off the front screen label. And there you have it. To turn on your iPhone, I'm going to hold this side button for a few seconds, and you should quickly see the Apple logo appear on screen. And here we are at the nice hello screen, and we swipe up to start setting up our device. I'll adjust the brightness in a moment, but tap English, and then we choose our country or region. So I'm going to make it dark for a second just to get through this initial setup process. But here you can choose the zoom level of your device. You can make the text and everything else larger, or you can go medium, or use the default settings for size. You can also change this later in settings. We'll hit continue. Now, if you're upgrading from another iPhone, you can actually unlock it, hold it close to this one, and transfer all your data. But let's assume this is a brand new iPhone we're setting up from scratch. Let's choose setup without device. Next, you'll need to connect it to a Wi-Fi network. Mine here at home is Minas Tirith. Put in your Wi-Fi password and click join. And now it's going to activate our iPhone. Your iPhone is likely connected to a cellular network, and you'll see that activation process happening during this period. This is a little word about data and privacy from Apple. We'll hit continue. And at this point, you can set it up for yourself, or maybe you bought a device for a child or minor family member. You can choose to set this up as a child in your family. Apple does have robust screen time controls when you're setting up a device for your child. I won't go through all those details in this video, but you can go to the oldest videos on my channel from 3 years ago that walks through the process of setting up screen time, both setting up an iCloud family and then adding children to that account. I will link those videos. They'll be the first ones down in the description. You can watch those videos. It's a little older, video production might be not as on par, but all the instructions are still spot on and applicable today. We're going to choose to set up for myself. Face ID is how you can unlock your iPhone and protect a lot of your data on the device. Highly recommend you set up Face ID. When you hit continue, you'll see this little instruction saying you're going to put your face in the circle and then move your face around so it can scan your face. This works with glasses and without, so I'm going to put my face in that little circle, and as you can see, I'm going to spin my face around to set up the device. Now you can choose to have Face ID unlock even when you're wearing a mask. I choose to just put in my passcode when I need to do that, and you can change this again in settings later. I'll do don't use Face ID with a mask. Now that Face ID is set up, we can hit continue. Now you're going to create a passcode for your iPhone. This passcode is a crucial moment. Setting up a secure passcode is an important part of your device. This passcode unlocks your device, which then gives you access to saved passwords and logins, to all your iCloud data, which would be your photo library and other sensitive information. So you don't want to use like all zeros for your passcode. There are more passcode options here. You can use a 4-digit numeric code or even an alphanumeric, meaning it'll use the full keyboard, letters, numbers, phrases. But I would recommend at least doing the 6-digit passcode. Now I wouldn't use this number, but for our purposes, I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll tell you that this is an easily guessed passcode, but I'll choose use anyway. Again, choose your own passcode that's a little more secure and random. Now again, if you have an older iPhone, you can transfer data from an iCloud backup, even from a Mac or PC, but we're going to assume this is our first iPhone, so we're not going to transfer anything. Now this is another important part of setting up an iPhone. Your Apple ID is your login and access to the entire Apple ecosystem. Technically, you can use an email you currently have, like a Gmail or Outlook email address, but I would recommend against that. Instead, I would suggest creating a new Apple ID using an @iCloud.com email address. This way, it's an Apple email address connected to your iPhone and other Apple devices. And in case you ever change your personal email, or maybe you get locked out of your Gmail account, then you would be locked out of your Apple ID, which does not be good. Creating an @iCloud.com email address for your Apple ID means as long as you have access to one of your Apple devices, you'll be able to access that Apple ID and even change the password with the hardware of your device. So I would recommend create a new iCloud.com email address. Even if you don't want that mail on your phone, you don't have to do that. You can still use your personal email. I'm going to show you how to set up personal email accounts once we get our phone set up. But for this process, if you don't already have an Apple ID, which you can log in with a previously used Apple ID if you have that, I would create something new. To create a new Apple ID, I'm going to tap here and I'm going to choose Create a Free Apple ID. Let's put in our name and birth date. You can tap the little month and year picker there if you have to go back a little farther than is easy to get to. We'll hit Continue. And now we're going to create our new Apple ID email address. Let's see if Aragorn Gimli is available. It'll confirm that that's what we want to do and we'll create that email address. Now we're going to create a password for that Apple ID. This should also be very secure, not something easily guessed. I'm going to put the password I'm using here on screen because if we ever need to enter this throughout the setup process, I want you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to do Bosco with a capital B, 7, $1. Whatever password you choose here, write it down. Also keep it in a safe place if you ever need to refer to it later. We've created our password. Now we can also add a phone number, which I would highly recommend because if you ever lose your password, this could be a way of verifying your identity. You'll be texted a 6-digit code you should input here, and that will confirm your phone number. Terms and conditions. Hit agree, and now you'll be signed in to your new Apple ID. This includes your synced photos, any purchases like apps, movies, and TV shows. This will also be what you use for iMessage and Find My. I'll explain all of that in a moment. Let's keep our iPhone updated automatically. It'll download new iOS updates in the future, which iOS is the operating system of the phone. I'm going to choose to enable location services. This will allow things like Siri suggestions and map suggestions, so I find that useful. You'll also set up your cellular here. Again, if you've bought this with the carrier attached, this will set up automatically. I'm going to choose to set up later in settings. Apple Pay is a great way to add credit cards and pay with your phone at those kiosks where you see this symbol. I would add a card or two here so you can use Apple Pay later. And to use Apple Pay, you would double click the side button of your phone and then you would see a card come up. You can tap your phone and then pay. You can also choose to set this up later in settings. Siri is the digital assistant for your iPhone. I'm only going to say it once, I won't say it again, or I'll mute it if I need to say it again. But you can also set up where it will activate automatically when it recognizes your voice. Let's set this up real quick.
I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use. You can change it later in settings.
So you can choose a custom voice here. We'll continue. How's the weather? Send a message. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Get directions home. Play some music. After going through those passphrases, you've trained Siri to recognize your voice, and if you ever want to use it with your iPhone, you just say those words. You can just say that word or hey, that word, and then it'll activate. Let's hit continue. You can choose to share recordings with Apple to improve Siri, or not now if you're not comfortable with that. Screen time will actually show you the amount of time you spend on your phone, in what apps, how many notifications you get. It's pretty interesting data. I would say continue. We can set that up here. Also analytics for your device you can share with Apple so they can improve products. Same with app analytics. I share all those. You can also choose a light or dark or auto theme. I like using the auto theme. It'll be light during the day and use the dark theme at night. Emergency SOS is a feature in iPhone 14 and later. You can actually communicate to emergency services via satellite if you're out of cell phone coverage. It can also detect if you've been in a car accident and contact emergency services automatically. We've now set up our iPhone and we're ready to begin. I'm going to go through some basics of navigating around the iPhone, talking about different screens, and just a reminder, you can skip forward using the chapters below. Now your iPhone screen will automatically be set to lock after a certain amount of time, but if you want to close the screen and lock it so no one can get into your phone, press the side button right here. To wake up your iPhone, you can actually just tap the screen and it will be woken up. Your phone will also detect when you lift it from like a table and turn on automatically. To unlock your device, it'll need to be at a good angle to see your face, and you'll actually see that little lock symbol unlock. Or you can put in your passcode that you set initially, and then your phone will be unlocked. This is the home screen of your iPhone. To get to the home screen from any other app, let's say we were in settings, all you have to do is swipe up from the bottom of the iPhone and you'll be back to the home screen. This works with any app, just swipe up from the bottom and you'll be home. There's going to be a lot of default apps already installed on the device. I'm going to go through these in just a moment. We can also swipe one more time over and this is what's called the app library. No matter what apps you actually have on your home screen, the app library will show you all the apps installed on your iPhone. If I swipe down, it'll also give me an alphabetical list of all the apps on my device. I can tap and hold on the alphabet list on the right to jump to a letter quickly, and I can even search the app library. We also have a little instruction here about using the iPhone keyboard. I'll hit continue. Of course, you could type on the keyboard like normal. Maybe we'll search for maps. And you can even swipe on the iPhone keyboard. You don't need a third-party keyboard installed for that. So if I wanted to search for maps, I could do MAPS just by swiping. Didn't get it that time because I was a little slow, but you can also swipe directly on the keyboard. To leave the app library, I can still just swipe up to go home, or I can swipe back to the left and get back to my first home screen. If I swipe to the right, you'll actually see the Today view. This is an area of the iPhone where you can add widgets, you can search your iPhone by swiping down for Spotlight, and you can add things like Siri suggestions here in the Today view. To edit the widgets you see here, scroll all the way down and tap the Edit button. Now, I can remove widgets by tapping the little minus button on each widget, and if I wanted to add a widget, I can press the plus button here. This is the same process as on the home screen, which we'll go over in a second. Now you'll also see everything was just jiggling around for a moment. That's called jiggle mode. That's the actual Apple definition for it. To enter jiggle mode, tap and hold on your home screen anywhere. This can also happen if you tap and hold on an app. Hold long enough and it will enter jiggle mode. Here, you can do things like remove an app from your home screen. Let's say we want to minus the TV app away. I can hit minus, and now you have the option of deleting the app entirely or just removing it from the home screen. I'm going to choose to just remove from the home screen. You'll see the app disappear, but like I said before, the app library still has all of the apps on our phone. So if I go down to the TV section, you'll see the TV app right here. It didn't delete it off the phone, it just removed it from the home screen. I'll swipe up again to go home, and let's look at a couple other navigation items. Up here in the top right corner, if you swipe from the corner, you'll get what's called the Control Center. The Control Center gives you access to music that's playing, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and other settings here. You can do things like lock the rotation of your device, so if you turn it sideways, it won't rotate. You can screen share or AirPlay to other devices, which I'll explain in a moment. Adjust the volume of your device here, the brightness here, enter a focus mode, and you can even add custom actions down here like going to the camera, turning on the flashlight, and more. We'll go into some of the Control Center settings in a moment, but you can get to the Control Center at any time by swiping from that top right corner. You can also do things like tap and hold on this Wi-Fi Bluetooth widget, and you get even more details about your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, AirDrop, which I'll explain in a moment. And you can even tap and hold on something like the Bluetooth symbol, and then you can connect to some headphones or other Bluetooth devices right here. You can also jump to the Bluetooth settings by tapping this, but we're going to go to the settings in just a moment. That's the Control Center. To access your notifications, you'll also need to swipe down from the top, but the top middle of the phone. Swiping down from the top middle, you see your lock screen again, but you'll also see notifications here from any of your apps. Just to give you an idea, here's my personal iPhone, and if I swipe down from the middle, you'll see I have some notifications down here. These are some reminders. Now when you get a notification like a text message, you'll see it appear here on the lock screen. You can tap that and you'll jump right to your text messages or other app, but if we swipe home and missed a notification, depending on your settings, you might see a red badge on the application, meaning you have notifications there. But if we swipe down to our notification center, we'll see those notifications here. Now I can actually swipe right to left on a notification, and I have more options. I can clear all notifications for that application, or tap Options, and I can choose to mute notifications from this app for 1 hour, mute for today, turn off all notifications for this app right here from the notification, or jump into specific settings. Now this is from my wife and it's text messages, so I don't want to disable those, but I can also tap and hold on this notification. It'll pop it open in a window without actually going into the application, and I can reply right here. I can hit the little blue arrow to send that text message, and now I've replied, all right here from the notification center. You'll see it disappear because we've replied. You know the swipe up to go home, but 2 more quick gestures. If you swipe up and hold your finger for a moment, now you'll enter the multitasking mode. This means you can go back to any other previously used app and quickly switch to that. As you open new applications, you're going to get this dialog a lot. This is the iPhone asking to access your location. When it's an Apple app, like the built-in wallet, I typically choose Precise Location On and then Allow while using the app. This enables a lot of features like having your Starbucks card automatically show up on your lock screen when you approach a Starbucks store. So I would do Precise Location On, sorry I'm covering up my home address, and then Allow while using the app. Again, if I swipe up and hold my finger for a moment, you can actually go back and swipe to a different application. Now, you may hear from some people, you may even hear from well-meaning relatives right now as you sit around setting up your iPhone, that you should swipe up applications like this to close them when you're done with them. I'm going to tell you a secret. You don't need to do that, and actually, you shouldn't do that. I have an entire video explaining the intricacies and details of why you shouldn't do that, but this is your new iPhone, this is a new experience, you're setting it up for the first time, it's a fresh start. Don't swipe up your apps to close them. And for the family members watching, stop doing it. All right, so let's swipe up to go home. And the last gesture is actually to swipe down anywhere on the home screen, and you'll actually open the search mode. Here you can search for an application, or you can search for things throughout your notes, and you'll see various results right here in Spotlight. That's what this search feature is called. And while we're here, if you want to access emojis, this face down here in the bottom left corner, tap that, go to the emoji keyboard, and this is how you use all those different emojis. Use whichever ones you would like. You can also tap and hold on certain emojis to change the skin color. And to get back to the normal keyboard, tap the ABC down in the bottom left corner and go back to English. Let's swipe up to go home. Now, before we jump into specific applications, I want to show you how to organize your home screen just a little bit. Like I showed you before, you can tap and hold, enter jiggle mode, and then remove certain apps from the home screen rather than delete them, and they still go to the app library. You can also add widgets and delete widgets, but starting out, there's just a lot of stuff here on the home screens that it's a little unnecessary. Now you can go through, tap the minus on each one, remove from home screen, but that's going to take a while. Let me show you a shortcut. Take one application that you know you'll want to keep, like podcasts. I'm going to tap and hold on it, and here I can now rearrange the application, change its location with other apps, and if I drag it all the way to the right of the home screen, I can actually create a new home screen that's blank, let go of my finger, that one application drops there, and that's all I have here on my home screen. Then I can tap these dots down here at the bottom, and you'll see I can actually uncheck home screens, and then even hit this minus button and delete these home screens entirely. I'm actually going to delete them, and now I have one pristine, clean home screen ready for me to customize. It's just this home screen, the app library, and the Today view. Just a quick way to have a clean slate starting from scratch. Now, to add widgets to your home screen, I'm going to tap and hold, hit the plus button here in the upper left corner, and let's start with a weather widget. I like having this on the top of my home screen. We can just tap the widget, choose what size we'd like. I like this long version because you see an hourly forecast for that day. Tap the plus button, and now that widget is at the top of our home screen. This is actually a widget stack also. You'll see there were some multiple dots next to it. This actually has chosen multiple widgets to have, and I can swipe through and see all these different widgets just by swiping. A lot of different widgets here. If I want to customize that, I can tap and hold on the widget. I can edit the stack. This is what the stack is called. And then I can remove certain widgets from this stack. Maybe I don't care to have news in this stack or the maps widget. Maybe I just want these widgets. Now I can tap on the home screen away, out of jiggle mode, and now I just have those widgets I've chosen. Let's add one more widget, and then we'll jump into some specific apps. I'll tap the plus button. Let's add a reminders widget, which is an easy way to see our to-dos and add quick reminders right here. I'll add that on the home screen. Now let's say we want to add more apps to this home screen. Well, we can go over to our app library, swipe down to our full list of apps, and let's add the App Store back on the home screen. I'll tap and hold on the app, start dragging it around, and now I can put it on the home screen, let go, and the App Store is now on my home screen. Let's do that again with another app. Let's take the camera app, for instance, tap and hold, drag it over, and now the camera app is on the home screen. And we'll download some more apps to put here on our home screen. Now let's talk about some of the apps that are built into your iPhone and come pre-installed. The top pick, if we go to our app library, is the App Store. This is where we download third-party apps, things like YouTube. Let's hit continue. I will allow my location for recommendations, and this is what the App Store looks like. You could search for a specific app by tapping the magnifying glass, and let's search for YouTube. Here we have the YouTube app. We'll tap Get. That's what you see if it's free. And then we can tap Install. You'll need to put in the password. Remember, this is our Apple ID password, which we set as Bosco7$1. And then we can sign in to the App Store. And you might need to sign in with this Apple ID login in other places like the iTunes Store if you want to buy music, movies. It is going to ask you to put in some billing information because if you ever want to download a paid application or buy TV shows, it'll want that information here. I would recommend completing this. I would put in a debit and credit card because there are going to be things you'll want to buy and maybe even sign up for iCloud storage. You can choose to set it up without a credit card if you don't feel comfortable with that, and you can add that later. Let's hit continue. Now let's download that YouTube app one more time. And now we'll see the YouTube app start downloading right here. Once that circle completes, that means that app has now been downloaded. A great place to go is probably the Apps tab down here at the bottom, and we can go to the top free apps. Let's tap the See All button here. And these are some of the most popular apps. Again, here's YouTube, one that you might want, Instagram. If you have streaming services like HBO Max, you can sign in and watch there. Facebook. This is kind of a quick way to see all the most used apps. Probably want to use Amazon, so let's tap Get. And whenever we want to download an app, paid or free, it's going to have us double click this side button to confirm, and then it's going to have us scan our Face ID. You'll see the scan with the little green face at the top, and then that app will start downloading. Let's download the Starbucks app as well. If it doesn't recognize your face, you might have to put in your Apple ID password one more time. And as we download apps, you'll see they're actually going to install right here on our home screen for quick access. That's a setting you can change later. We'll get to that in a moment. That's how to download and use some of those third-party apps here on your iPhone. Now let's swipe over and see more of those built-in applications. That's the App Store. Apple Store is where you can buy more Apple products. Apple Books is a great place to buy ebooks. These will sync across all your Apple devices like your iPad and your Mac. But keep in mind, books you purchase here can't be read on something like a Kindle. You do have to read them on your Apple devices. Going back home, we have our calculator app, the calendar app, which will be more useful when we add other accounts like Google accounts. We'll get to that in a moment. The camera app, something you definitely want to access, which, by the way, when you have your phone locked, you've not unlocked it yet, there's actually a shortcut to the camera app right here from the lock screen. If I tap and hold on that icon, I'll jump right into the camera app to take a photo quickly. There's also multiple modes in the camera app, but we'll get into camera and photos in just a moment. But getting to the camera app from the lock screen is an easy way to start taking a picture. And of course, you can have this app on your home screen. Clock is also where you'll set some alarms. You can set timers, stopwatch, recurring alarms, and even when you go to sleep and wake up. You have a built-in compass, contacts, which again is more useful when we have an account that actually syncs our contacts, which we'll get to momentarily. FaceTime, you can video call your friends and family. Files app is where you can actually save literal files, images, documents, spreadsheets, PDFs. All of that can be saved in the Files app here on your iPhone. Find My is actually a great application. You can share your location with friends and family. You'll have to invite and they'll need to approve the requests. But then you can see them all on a map, and you can also see items and devices on a map. You can also mark items as lost, which is really helpful. I'm going to enable those notifications. You can start sharing your location with friends and family here, and you can also do things like buy an AirTag and keep track of items here in the Find My app. Fitness is where you can track your activity. Really helpful if you have an Apple Watch. Freeform is kind of a whiteboarding application. GarageBand for making music. Health is a great place to keep track of all your health data. You can do things like weight. If you get physicals, you can have medical data automatically imported here to the Health app. And if you have an Apple Watch, this is even more helpful to see things like heart rate all in one place. Home is actually a smart home control and application. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll see that I am a huge smart home user. I love smart home, and I've actually been thinking about doing a smart home 101 course that shows you from scratch how to set up a smart home and start using it. So subscribe if you want to see that video. But being that we're first setting up our iPhone, we can't do much with home right now. iMovie for editing movies, iTunes Store for buying music. You have Keynote for making slide presentations. Mail is your email application, which we're going to set up in a moment. Maps, which we should probably drag that to our home screen. This is what we'll do to get directions, find locations nearby. There's even a Measure app where you can use your iPhone to see if something's level. Messages is our text messages application. Apple Music, which we'll sign up for in a moment. Apple News. Notes is a really helpful application. This will probably be your main note-taking app. Again, we'll go over that in a moment. Numbers is Apple's built-in spreadsheet application. Pages is like a Microsoft Word document editing. Of course, you have your phone application. Photos, where all your photos will live. Podcasts, we'll look at that in a moment. Safari is your built-in web browser, which we'll look at in a moment. The settings application. Shortcuts, one of my favorite applications on the iPhone. We'll have to talk about that later. Of course, you have stocks, iPhone tips, a translate app, TV, voice memos for recording quick voice memos. The Wallet app can hold loyalty cards and even credit cards for Apple Pay. If you have an Apple Watch to set up, you could do that here. Then weather and YouTube. So that's an overview of the apps that come with your iPhone and how to download apps from the App Store. Now we're going to jump into some key apps like Weather, Notes, Safari, Mail, and the Settings app to really get your iPhone at a place where you can start using it day to day. First up is Weather. It's going to show you Cupertino, which is where Apple's headquartered, but we probably want that to our current location. When you first tap the widget or open the Weather app, you'll see this notification asking for weather to access your location. Of all the apps, this is probably the most helpful. So down at the bottom, you'll see allow once or while using the app. I would recommend tap while using the app. Now it'll get your current location and you'll see weather for exactly where you are. This is the forecast for here in Florida. Scroll down and you can see the hourly forecast here. You can actually swipe left to right. You can see several days ahead of time forecast and even tap on a day. You can see the temperature on a graph. Tap here and then you can see wind, precipitation for a given day, and all this data right here for each specific day in the forecast. Scroll down even farther. You can actually get a precipitation map to see all the rain and other snow that might be happening. Scroll down further, you get UV index, wind speed, and even more data. Now you can add multiple locations to your weather app. Tap this button in the bottom right corner. I would enable notifications. The weather app is pretty good at warning you of upcoming rain. And here you can see we're going to change it to actually always allow to access my location. This way I don't even have to have the weather app open and it'll just know the weather for my current location wherever my iPhone is. I'm going to enable critical alerts for like hurricane and other emergencies. And now my location and notifications are set up. You can see there's other locations already built in. You can remove these by swiping from right to left and hitting the trash icon. We'll remove those locations. And let's say we want to add something else. Let's search for Orlando, Florida. Maybe we're going to Disney World. You can pull up that weather forecast and just view it here, but I'm going to tap add. And now that location is also added to my weather app. Then I can jump into either my location, I can swipe here at the top and go to the other location that I've saved, like Orlando, jump to my map if I want to view precipitation right here quickly. You can also use this slider at the bottom as it's showing you the progression throughout the day. You can click and drag it manually to see how the precipitation is going to change. And you can even switch to a next hour forecast if you want to see a more granular representation. Hit done. And that's how to set up the weather app. Podcasts is another great application. If you don't already listen to podcasts, I highly recommend. I love podcasts. There's lots of recommendations here built into Apple Podcasts. But if you're, let's say, into movies, want to listen to something over break, you can search for a podcast. Let's say movies on the side. Yes, this happens to be my podcast. Let's tap on the show. And if we want to follow this show, this way we get notifications and new episodes download automatically, I'm going to tap the follow button. Now this show is in my library. I'll enable notifications because I want to know about new episodes of shows I follow. Then I can scroll down, look at a new episode like right here. This is our latest review of Indiana Jones. It'll download the latest episode automatically. And I can hit play. Now our podcast is playing. I'm going to swipe down from the control center and lower the volume, just like that. If I want to see more information about this episode, I can tap that now playing screen. Now it shows up large. And now that we have some audio playing, one other feature I want to show you is called the Dynamic Island. If you have audio playing or a video, or there's other use cases, this is called the Dynamic Island. This is a unique feature to iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 15 and 15 Pro. This will show you if there's any music playing. If I tap and hold on it, it'll actually bring up a little window here that I can then pause, resume playing, skip forward, or send this audio via AirPlay to other speakers. You'll see the symbol in the music app, podcasts, and other places. I'm going to keep the audio playing. If you see audio here in the Dynamic Island, you can also just tap it once and it jumps you to whatever app is currently playing. Also, if I swipe to the control center one more time, you'll actually see any audio that's currently playing is also here. I can pause it, play, skip forward and back, and if I tap this little square, it'll bring up another large preview, giving me another way to control my music, podcasts, or other videos that are playing. Now with any audio, be it music or podcasts, you can AirPlay or send this audio to something like a HomePod or AirPlay-enabled speakers. To do that, tap this AirPlay symbol right here. It'll bring up all the different options to play music. As you can see, I have lots of HomePods in the house, Sonos speakers, Apple TVs. But if you want to send this audio to a device, let's say my studio HomePods, just tap it. And now this audio is playing on my HomePod speakers. In the Dynamic Island, you'll see the little HomePod symbols up here, letting you know it's not playing to your phone, but rather to some speakers. You can also see here in the little control center that it's going to my studio HomePods. I'm going to tap it again. Maybe I want to move it back to just my iPhone. I'll tap my iPhone, and now it's playing locally on my device. If I want to pause it, tap and hold on the Dynamic Island, and I'll hit pause. Now let's talk about the camera application. Again, you can have the app here on your home screen. You can access it from the control center here, or if you're on your lock screen, you can tap and hold on the camera icon there to quickly jump to camera. A few different options here. One is called Live Photo. This is a feature that will capture some movement in addition to the single photo. I like leaving that on. If you want to learn more about that and some of the other features, let me know in the comments. You can enable or disable flash by clicking this lightning bolt icon. And then down here, depending on your iPhone model, you might be able to switch between different lenses, zooming into 2x, or doing a wide angle half X. You can also tap to take video, cinematic video, which will blur the background, little explainer there, take a slow-mo video, or even a time-lapse video. In addition to tapping on the words down here, you can also just swipe across on the camera screen to go to the different modes. Portrait mode will take a still photo while blurring the background, and a panoramic photo lets you take a very wide photo for something like a landscape. If you wanted to take a selfie and flip the camera around, tap this little circle arrow down here in the bottom right. Now it's using the front-facing camera up here. Let's take some selfies. And a reminder, if you're taking selfies, look at the little green light over here, which means you'll be looking in the camera rather than looking at the screen, because then it'll look like you're looking away. I can tap the little arrow again to flip to the back camera. I'll take some pictures there. And you even have more picture options. If you tap this arrow here at the top, you have your flash, night mode, which helps you take better low light photos, and some other format and advanced options for taking pictures. I won't go into them right now, but again, if you'd like to see a whole video on just the camera, let me know down in the comments. Now, to see the photos I just took, I can tap this icon here, or I could just go to the Photos app. To do that, here's the Photos app. I'm going to tap that. I'm going to choose to accept notifications from photos. Here's some new features that have been added recently, Apple Music and privacy. And here are all the photos I took. I can tap a photo, and this was a live photo. We could tell this is a live photo by this symbol here. If I tap and hold my finger on it, you'll actually see a little bit of the motion. You might see this more. I could swipe over these photos. You see there's a little more motion there. Just captures that little bit of motion before and after you've taken the photo. Now, looking at your photos, you can use your library view here and go back days, months, or years. You can also go to the albums view and then go to recents. I like this view as well. There's also a For You tab, which will start curating once you've taken more photos. And you can even search your photos for objects, for people, things like that. Again, you could tap a photo, and if you want to edit it, you could tap the edit button, adjust some of the lighting effects, just tap the auto magic wand and it'll do its best to make it look good. I can hit cancel and discard those changes. And if I hit these three dots in the upper right corner, I have a bunch of other options, like copy this photo to paste elsewhere, duplicate this photo if I want to crop it, I could duplicate this photo if I want to make adjustments, but keep the original. Hide this photo, which will go into a Face ID protected album, create a slideshow, save it as a video because it's a live photo, and even add to album. We won't go too in depth on all the options for photos, but one thing you probably want to do is share photos. To share a photo, you can look at an individual photo, and then down here at the bottom, you have a few more options. Delete, look at info from the photo, favorite this photo, and you can access it quickly later. And then there's also this square icon with a little share arrow. This is a key icon that you will see many places around your iPhone. When you tap this icon, you can share this photo a variety of ways. You'll see this with songs, files, videos and photos, and lots of other things around your iPhone. Hitting that share button brings up what's called the share sheet. Here, I can text it to someone, send an email, notes, make a reminder with this photo attached, and there's even more options down here like add to a new album. AirPlay, meaning I can send it to an Apple TV so everyone can see it in the living room. Use this photo as the wallpaper for my iPhone, and much more. Most of the time, you'll probably want to send this in a message or airdrop it. Now, you can also select multiple photos and still have that share option. To select multiple photos, I'm going to swipe down or swipe away. This is now my entire photo library. I can tap select and tap all the individual photos I want to select. If you want to select multiple photos quickly, you can actually swipe left to right and then up and down and select many rows quickly. Once again, I'll tap select, swipe left to right, and then down, and you can select all the photos in those rows and columns. Then I can hit the share button. I can text all the photos that I've selected to someone, send in an email, but the best way to share photos, especially to other Apple devices, is using something called AirDrop. AirDrop is a feature you can use with videos, photos, and other files that will send those objects, your photos, directly to another person's Apple device. Could be an iPhone, an iPad, or a Mac, and you don't have to send it in a text message or email. It just sends directly to the other device in the highest quality possible. For instance, I'll take my personal iPhone, and I'm here in the control center. I can tap and hold on that widget in the upper left corner. I'll tap and hold AirDrop, and now you can actually change who can AirDrop objects to you. I'm going to choose everyone for 10 minutes. That means any iPhone that starts to AirDrop something, like this photo, I can tap this AirDrop button here, and other Apple devices that have AirDrop enabled will show up in this menu. Then you can see when I tap that other Apple device, whether it's an iPhone or iPad, that other person will get a notification like this, and if I hit accept, you'll see in the dynamic island a little progress bar, and now that photo has been shared with me, and I have it on my iPhone. AirDrop is a great way to share links from Safari, music, podcasts, and more. To show you one other example, if I go back to the podcast app, I can tap the three dots here on the Now Playing screen. You'll see the Share Episode option, and then we'll see the familiar share sheet. You'll get options specific to this app, but also the AirDrop symbol. I can drop this to someone else, and if I tap their iPhone and they accept, that podcast will open up automatically on their device. Whenever you want to share something to another Apple user that's near you and in your vicinity, AirDrop is the way to do it. Now let's look at the Maps application. The first time we open it, it's going to ask us for notifications and location services, enable location services, and then we'll be ready to start. To zoom in on your personal location, tap this little arrow here in the upper right-hand corner. That'll then show a blue dot and zoom in on your location. Now, if you want to search for something like restaurants nearby, let's zoom into Lakeland, and we can tap here in the search box at the bottom. You'll see some suggestions already pop up, or we can type, but let's just tap fast food, and you'll see all the locations pop up here on the map. I can zoom in and tap an individual location, but I can also swipe this drawer up and see all the results down here. Let's say I want to go to Chick-fil-A, I can tap that. And here I have options to call the store, visit their website, or even order from this restaurant if they have online ordering. And of course, I can get directions by tapping the car icon here. If I tap that, you'll see several routes from your current location to that address. And when you're ready to get turn-by-turn directions, hit go. You can also get walking, transit, and bicycle directions, and also ride-sharing services depending on your city. If you hit go, you'll then start turn-by-turn directions with voice guidance. You can also have different route options like adding a stop to maps, share your ETA with someone, report an incident, or change the voice volume. If you want to end this turn-by-turn navigation session, just tap End Route. As you visit more locations and add contacts to your phone, you'll see those options and suggestions appear here in the Maps app. Let's swipe up to go home, and let's check out Apple Notes. Apple Notes is actually a powerful application. You'll see it blank here, but we can create a new note by clicking the Compose button in the bottom right corner. Let's call it something like New Year Resolutions, and maybe add something like Subscribe to Steven's YouTube channel. You can use bulleted list, format your text by tapping and highlighting the text, hitting the Format menu, using bold, creating headings, bulleted, indents, all kinds of text formatting settings. You'll also see selecting text in something like a note you can do several ways. If I double tap a word, it will select that word and then bring up the copy, paste, cut menu. You can even add a link to this text if you're in a note, format it, and you can also look up things. Maybe you want to look up a word you don't know yet. I can double tap the word, tap the right arrow, scroll to the right until I see lookup, tap lookup. It'll tell me that this is lookup, part of the system, and I can actually get definitions or even Safari results. You can also do a thing like add a table to a note, take an image and include it in this note, and even go to markup where you can draw with your finger right here in the note. In addition to just taking pictures, you can actually use the camera here to scan documents, and it will make a PDF version of paper documents that you can point your camera at and take a picture. Just tap Scan Documents, point your camera at a document, it'll automatically take a picture and include it in the note. And like we did with podcasts and music, you can tap the Share button and share this note with someone, send it in a text, email. You can even collaborate with others so they can make edits to this note, or tap Collaborate and choose to send copy if you just want to send them a copy of this note and not have them change things inside the note. If I go back, you'll see the note we just created here in this list, and I can also go back one more and you'll see folders that we created. You'll see these notes are part of our iCloud account, which means they're syncing across all of our Apple devices. I can create a new folder with this symbol down here, and now that folder has been added under the iCloud section. I can search all my notes here, tap Edit to delete folders if I'd like. And just a navigation tip, in most applications on your iPhone, if you need to go back a screen, you could tap this upper left option and you go back to the previous screen. But you can also swipe from the left edge of your device to the right, and that will also go back a screen. This is really helpful in settings when you have multiple menus that you're drilling down. Just swipe from the left edge to go back, and you're back on that other screen. Let's go home and look at a few more apps. Contacts is where you'll keep all your contacts, including a contact card for yourself. Go to this contact. Going here, you can edit this and add a photo of yourself. Let's actually add one of the selfies I just took. I'll tap my photo library, choose the selfie. I can even change the font of this contact poster, which will show up when I call other Apple users. The name is literally directly on my forehead, but that's okay. I've now created a contact poster. This is what my profile image now looks like. And I can add phone, email addresses, and lots more information to this contact card. I'll hit done. You'll also see people's images in the Messages app in your conversation view. As you can see on my personal iPhone, I like having photos for pretty much everyone I'm texting, and those photos will show up in these text message conversations. If you need to add a new contact, hit the plus button in the upper right corner. You can add a photo, first and last name, phone numbers, emails, and more. You can also choose to share your contact by going to your contact card, hitting Share Contact, choose what information you'd like to share, and then there's that AirDrop option, or text it to someone so they have all of this information and they can easily import it to their iPhone. There's also a cool feature on newer iPhones called NameDrop. If we hold two iPhones together, you'll see a little animation appear. You'll see I'll now have the option to share my contact information with someone else after that little animation. It includes my picture, email address, and if you have multiple phone numbers and email addresses, you can choose which of those to share with the other person. Once both people have hit share, the contacts will then transfer to the other person's iPhone and you're ready to connect. If I go back to my Contacts app, you'll now see I have that other contact right here. Now for music, you can sign up for Apple Music or use Spotify on your iPhone. The first time you open Apple Music, you'll see all these prompts. You can do a free trial. You will have to put credit card information in order to sign up for free, but I enjoy Apple Music. It's built in, works with Siri, and Apple Music is actually part of the Apple One bundle. The FaceTime application is this camera icon, and here you can FaceTime your contacts, choose a new FaceTime. I'll choose myself since we just shared that contact, hit the FaceTime button, and now it's going to start a video call with the other person. FaceTime notifications look like this on the other phone. You can accept it or decline it. Mail will be your email application. If I go to Mail, this talks about some of the privacy settings. I like protecting mail activity, so I hit continue. I don't allow mail notifications, so I'll do that. And here we have some emails. To read an email, you just tap on it and it shows up here. There's swipe actions, so if I swipe left to right, I can choose to mark it as unread or be reminded to deal with this email later. I can also swipe right to left, trash this email, flag it, and I have more options like reply, reply all, forward, flag it, and other email options. I can choose just to view my unread messages by tapping this icon in the bottom left corner, and I can compose a new email using this button here. Type the to, subject. You can change your email signature in settings, and once you've composed your email, hit the blue button to send it off. I'll show you how to add more mail accounts in the Settings app in just a moment. If you have multiple email accounts, you can swipe left to right, or tap the Mailboxes arrow, and you'll see all your email accounts here right in the Mail app. For phone calls, of course, you have the Phone app down here in the dock. You can access your contacts, your favorites, and any voicemails are down here as well. The Messages app is where you'll text other people. When you first open Messages, you can choose to allow to share your focus mode with people you're messaging with. You can also change this later in settings. I like to have this enabled so if I'm driving or in a focus mode, the recipients know that I might not answer right away. If I hit the Compose button in the top right, it will autofill whatever contacts are currently in your Contacts app. Tap the window down here, and hey, tap the blue arrow, and we'll send our message. You can choose to share your photo and name to other people. This way they don't have to save a photo and add it to your contact. You can also create an emoji to represent yourself. We'll set that up later. And these are your text message conversations. If you see blue bubbles, these are iMessages, meaning you're talking to another Apple device user. You can also choose to send read receipts, meaning the other person will see when you've seen their text messages. You can also change this per person. If I hit Not Now, I can still tap this conversation by tapping the icon in the top right, and I can choose to enable read receipts just for individuals right here. This is that shared focus status, which I mentioned before. You can choose to hide any notifications from this conversation, especially helpful if it's a group chat. And you can also quickly call and FaceTime the person by tapping their face at the top of the conversation. You can share your location, even temporarily. Maybe you're trying to get together at an event. You can share for an hour until the end of day or indefinitely. Then they'll show up in the Find My app. You can also start FaceTime quickly with this icon here. And if you want to send a photo to this person, you can tap this plus button next to the Compose message window. You can take a photo, choose a photo. You can also choose to send money with Apple Cash, stickers, send a voice memo, your location, and tap more for even more options. There's also third-party app options here like Starbucks gift cards. To see all your text message conversations, hit the back arrow, or of course, you can swipe from that left edge of the screen, and here you can start a new message conversation, edit your messages, and you can even save certain conversations to the top. Tap and hold on the conversation. You can mark it as read, hide alerts, or say pin, and you'll pin that conversation large in your Messages app. Just to give you an idea, this is what it looks like. You can pin up to 9 conversations in the Messages app, and this is what it looks like when you have that many pinned. Now, before we jump into settings, the last app I want to show you is Safari. This is your web browser. You can add favorites, go to different websites. If I search in the address bar here, I can go to something like beard.fm, tap go, and then I'll go to that website right here in Safari. I can have multiple tabs open by tapping this window here, clicking the plus icon, and then go to another website, let's say Apple. Tap the button again, and I can see all my open tabs here at once. You can tap the address bar, type a different website. You can tap this book icon, which will show you all your favorites and bookmarks. And to add a website to your favorites, tap the share button that we've seen before, scroll down, and you can choose Add Bookmark. Then you can add it to your favorites or even create folders in your bookmarks to save all your different websites. Lastly, we have the Reminders app. You can have the app on your home screen, but here we also have the widget, which I can just tap the widget. I like giving Reminders location access because then you can actually create reminders based on your location, like when I leave home or when I get to the store. Tap the plus button to create a new reminder. You can create something like take out trash, then hit the little eye icon. You'll want to enable reminder notifications, of course. I'll hit allow. Then you can choose a reminder to show up on a certain date at a certain time. You can create a repeating reminder every weekday, create custom schedules, and you can also have a reminder at a location, like when I leave home or arrive home, and you can even change a priority for the reminder. You can even create folders and other categories for your reminders. I won't go too in depth, but another great way to create them is actually using Siri, the assistant. I'm actually going to tap and hold on the side button, which also activates Siri, and I'll say, remind me to get groceries tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Okay, I added it.
There's our now reminders list, and this is probably the easiest and quickest way to create new reminders that you'll get a notification for. If we go back, you can see different lists here where reminders will be added to. You can create a new list, folders. You can also see upcoming and scheduled reminders, all right here in the app. All right, we're in the home stretch. We're going to go into the Settings app, adjust some important things, add some mail accounts. Then I'll show you some other gestures to use around your iPhone. Then you can go off and enjoy using your device. All right, let's jump into the Settings app. First and foremost, this very top option is actually your iCloud settings. This is pretty important. You actually tap on your name up here, and we'll see a bunch of information. If we go to Sign In and Security, two-factor authentication is on, which is what we want. You can also set up account recovery. This will let you choose recovery contacts. So if you get locked out of your iCloud account, a trusted contact can help you get back in. Legacy contact is also someone you can give access to your iCloud data if you should pass away. This is where you'll add payment information to make purchases like in the App Store or music and movies, and your default shipping address, and that's really helpful when you're shopping online. You can autofill that default address. Any subscriptions for things like apps, you'll find here. And one thing that's important is the iCloud settings. Let's go to iCloud. Here you'll see your account storage and the option to do more with iCloud. If I go down to Show All option, I would highly recommend you turn everything on. Here, messages, I would enable messages in the cloud. This means all your text messages will be saved and backed up to iCloud. It can sync across your other Apple devices. And if you ever lose your iPhone or it gets destroyed, all of your messages are synced up to iCloud, and the next time you sign into another Apple device, they'll all come back. All of this is pretty much toggled on by default, and that's what I would recommend as well. Also, iCloud backup should be on. This means every night when you plug in your iPhone, it's going to back your entire iPhone up, all your apps and data and photos, to iCloud. Which again, if anything ever happens to your iPhone later, you can restore from that iCloud backup and you won't have lost your data. I would keep this toggled on. Now, something you're going to see pretty quickly is that you might run out of iCloud storage soon. You only get 5 gigabytes for free, which is not a lot of space. Wish that was more, but I think it is a wise investment, really useful for everyone to buy more iCloud storage so you can back up all of your Apple devices signed into your iCloud account will use that storage. I can choose to upgrade to iCloud Plus, and I can actually pay for the storage right here. If you're just starting out, 50 gigabytes might do fine. You can always upgrade to higher tiers later. 200 gigabytes is probably a safer bet, so all your photos can be backed up and you don't have to worry about any of your data being lost. You can also get an Apple One services bundle, either for an individual or share it across your family, and this will give you iCloud storage, access to Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, even Apple Arcade if you'd like, and News Plus. I actually choose the Premier option, and I share this across my entire family, which gives you that iCloud storage and all these other services. You can start with a free trial, but again, this is one of those things about being a part of the Apple ecosystem that it's just worth it. It's worth it to pay for iCloud storage so your devices are backed up, and if you like Apple Music and some of the Apple services, the Apple One bundle is probably the way to go. So those are the iCloud settings. If we scroll down, we'll see Wi-Fi, which is where we can connect to different Wi-Fi networks. You can also access Wi-Fi and Bluetooth in the control center that we went over before. Set up or change your cellular data right here. You can also manage your notifications, what apps can send you notification, and the kinds of notifications. For instance, Game Center, maybe you just want to turn off all notifications. Well, I'll toggle Allow Notifications off. But for messages, I do want to get notifications, so I'll allow, critical alerts and time sensitive, but then I can choose where and how to get all the notifications. I want it on the lock screen, which is what you see before you unlock your iPhone. I want it in Notification Center, where you swipe down from the top, and maybe you want to see it as a banner that slides down, like I showed you in the previous text message. For that banner that slides down, you can also choose temporary, which means it'll slide down and then slide back up, or permanent, meaning that banner notification will slide down and stay there until you dismiss it. You can choose what sound you would like for the notifications of this app, and badges are those red numbers you see on the different applications. I have badges on my personal iPhone turned off for pretty much everything, except for my text messages app. I like seeing those badges. Again, if I scroll down to my notification center, these are what notifications look like with that center option enabled, and depending on what notifications you see on your lock screen, you'll see it down here. Now, as you can see, because my phone is not unlocked, I actually don't see the data associated with each notification. That's the show preview option. I actually like to show previews only when unlocked. You can choose to show previews always, even if your phone is unlocked or locked, but if you get a text message with sensitive information, then everyone could see it. So I would choose when unlocked. You can also choose to group notifications. This will do things like group your text message notifications all together like it is here, and you can choose to let your iPhone do that automatically or by specific app. You can also customize your notifications even further depending on the application. I would go in, and if you get too many notifications from a specific app, go ahead and manage it here in the notifications. Like you see, I actually have mail turned off, but for podcasts, maybe I don't want it in the notification center. I just want to see it on the lock screen and the banner. So I'll uncheck Notification Center. Under Sounds and Haptics, this is where you can choose your ringtones, text tones, and what sounds come for new emails, and whatever sounds for new notifications. One critical setting, if you like it, you can keep it, but keyboard feedback and lock sound, I would say, for everyone's sake, turn off the sound of the keyboard. If you just love hearing that keyboard go click, 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 I guess you could leave it on. But I would recommend just turning on haptics and turning off sound for the keyboard. You can also choose to turn off the lock sound, which is what you hear when you tap that side button. Now we can't go through all the settings here, but I'll just say focus mode is a great option for limiting distractions and notifications during certain times. I have a whole video on that I'll put up here. I also have those whole videos on screen times that are in the description. Let's go to general settings real quick. Software update is where you can update to the latest iOS. You also have AirDrop and handoff settings here. Most of these you can just leave as the default. You don't need to adjust too much there. Control Center, this is where you can actually adjust other tools that are found in the Control Center. We have the defaults here, but maybe we also want to add the ability to set an alarm quickly and enable low power mode, which is great for saving battery when your battery is low. Now you'll see those controls here in the Control Center. You can also do things like creating a quick note in Notes. Maybe you want to do quick voice memos. And now those actions are here in the Control Center for easy access. Display and brightness is where you can set light and dark mode or set it to automatically. You can change the text size of your device, making it larger or smaller with that slider. Your display is set to auto brightness, so I'd recommend just leaving this all set. For auto lock, this is one place where if you want to save battery life, change this to 30 seconds or a minute. This means when your phone is left inactive for a minute or 30 seconds, the screen will turn off automatically, saving a lot of battery life. Raise to wake is lifting your phone and having the screen turn on. And display zoom, if you want to make everything larger on display, you can go with that larger text option. Home screen and app library, you'll see before when we were downloading apps that they showed up on the home screen. You can also choose for new apps to go directly to that app library I showed you, so it doesn't clutter up your home screens that you spend time customizing. You can also choose to see those notification badges in the app library. I keep that toggled off. And that search box is also on the home screen. You can toggle that on or off there. There's lots of accessibility settings there. You can also change your wallpaper right here. Tap Add New Wallpaper, and there's lots of defaults to choose from. You can also choose your own pictures here. And this is actually an entire world setting up your new wallpaper and lock screens. I have a dedicated video on customizing your home screen, lock screens, and wallpapers. I'll put that link down in the description. This way you can get your lock screens and home screens paired together just how you like. Standby mode is a cool feature in iOS 17 when you put your phone horizontally on a charger. You can adjust Siri and search settings. If you ever need to change your Face ID or passcode, go to Face ID and Passcode, put in your phone passcode. Here, this is all toggled on, which I would keep on. You can also choose to set up an alternate appearance. That'll scan a second person's face and allow their face to unlock your device. You can also change your passcode here, and you can also toggle on or off what you would like accessible when your phone is locked. I actually turn off a lot of these because I actually don't want very much accessible when my phone is locked. I usually leave things like live activities, which is helpful when you're getting DoorDash or catching a flight, lock screen widgets and Control Center, but you can adjust these how you see fit. If I go to the battery settings, you can choose to show the battery percentage in the icon in the top right corner. And you can also see the battery usage and what apps are using your battery there. For privacy and security, you can adjust things like location access to apps, different Bluetooth and photo settings. Again, I have a video on that I'll link down in the description. Another key feature are your saved logins and passwords, which are accessible here in the Settings app. There's a lot to learn about passwords and autofill. I don't want to add that all in this video, but again, I have a dedicated video on iCloud passwords. I recommend you check that out below the video. The last thing here in the settings I do need to show you is the Mail application. If I go to Mail here in Settings, you'll see the Accounts option here. If I tap Accounts, this is where you'll log into your Gmail, Outlook, Microsoft Exchange, any email service that you want available in the Mail app, or calendars you want in the Calendar app, add them here. You can tap Google or Microsoft, log into your account, and then those accounts will be available on this phone, both in Mail and the Calendars app. You can add as many accounts that you need to this settings, and then you can also toggle on what you want to sync. Is it just Mail? Is it Mail and Calendars? Mail contacts and calendars? And customize it for each account. If you already sync contacts with like a Google account, you can choose to sync your contacts for that Google account here, and then I would recommend disabling contact syncing for every other account. If you have contact syncing enabled for all different accounts, then it could get confusing when you create a new account or edit one, which account that is associated with. I would recommend just leaving one contact syncing for all the accounts that you add in this menu. Personally, I like to sync my contacts actually to my iCloud account because that automatically goes to all my Apple devices, and you'll see it turned on here in iCloud settings. There's also some visual preferences here for Mail, and also if you want to customize your email signature, you can go down here and adjust your signature per Mail account. Type a new signature here, and that's what will show up at the bottom of your composed emails. Okay, and one other settings menu, the Messages settings is important. We want to have iMessage turned on. Send and Receive will show you what phone numbers and email addresses are associated with your iMessage account. You can turn on read receipts for everyone with this toggle. You also want to be able to send messages as SMS if you're texting an Android device. You can choose to filter unknown text message senders, which is a helpful setting. I explained that in my settings video down below. And another helpful setting is text message forwarding. You can actually have SMS or text messages sent from an Android phone actually forward to your other Apple devices that are signed into your iCloud account. This way you can respond to text messages from any Apple device, even if it's an iMessage or SMS green bubble message. All right, if you have any questions on any of the other settings here in the Settings app, don't forget to check out my video, but you can drop the questions down in the comments. All right, and finally, I just want to give you a couple gestures for navigating your iPhone that will make it even easier for things like notes, selecting multiple items, and more. First of all, if you want to get back to a previously used app without going to the multitask switcher, just swipe from left to right on this little bottom bar, and you can go back to the last used app. Then you can swipe and actually go both directions to go between your applications. Rather than swiping up and holding to access multitasking, you can kind of go up and to the right in a little L pattern. Then you can access all your previously used applications here. Remember, you don't need to swipe up to quit them. If you want to select multiple items in a list, this works in Mail, in Notes, Reminders. You can actually select multiple items by dragging with 2 fingers down the list. This works in many different places, and it's just a much easier way than tapping Edit, and then selecting multiple items. Just take 2 fingers and swipe down on a list of multiple items. In the Maps application, if you're using your phone one-handed, it can be hard to pinch and zoom with just one hand. So for that, double tap on Maps and then slide your finger up and down, and you can actually zoom in or out with just one finger. So double tap, swipe up and down to zoom in or out. If you're in a Notes app and maybe you do something that you didn't intend, like type or copy and paste, you can actually undo by tapping with 3 fingers twice. Then you'll see the undo option appear up at the top of the screen, or just tap again with 3 fingers and you've undone. You can also swipe with 3 fingers to undo quickly. Just swipe right to left, all 3 fingers on the keyboard. Also, if you have a bulleted list, like here in Notes, if you want to indent one of those bullets, just swipe left to right on a bullet and you can indent it. Pretty cool. And one other kind of gesture, we're actually going to go back into the Settings application, go to Accessibility, go to Touch, scroll down, and you'll see Back Tap. If I go to Back Tap, I can enable a double or triple tap. Let's go to double tap, and let's say I want to be able to open my camera or maybe turn on my flashlight just by tapping the back of my phone. If I choose flashlight, now wherever I am in the phone, if I double tap, it will turn on the flashlight, tap again, and the flashlight will turn off. Double and triple tap is a great way to have shortcuts to your iPhone and different use cases just by tapping your device. All right, I know that was a marathon of a video, but hopefully now you're all set up and feel confident in using your new iPhone. If you want more information on some of the things I discussed, like iCloud passwords, customizing your home screen and lock screens, or how to use focus modes, I've put videos with a more in-depth look all down in the description. You can click the links there. I'll also put 2 videos that I mentioned here at the end of this video. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe. And if it's helped you, I'd love to hear that down in the comments as well. And share it with your friends and family who just got a new iPhone. Once again, congrats on your new device. I hope you enjoy it. And thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.